The opinions shared in this podcast are those of the host and are not meant to reflect the positions of NAMI Oklahoma or licensed mental health professionals. If you have questions or concerns about your own mental health, please reach out to a qualified expert. And remember, if you're ever in a crisis, you can call or text 988.
Hi guys, welcome back to our NAMI NextGen Mindful Moments podcast. I'm Emma Valgora.
And I'm Anna Bennett.
And this month we're here to talk about seasons of life. And this is a pretty applicable topic for us this month, but especially just with the NextGen Council as a whole. We're all aged 18 through 25, and that period of your life can have a lot of transitions, a lot of changes, maybe graduation, getting new jobs, moving, and those are all pretty big, scary changes, different seasons of life. And so we're going to be breaking down how to handle those seasons and how to handle those big changes that come with them.
Okay, so before we get started off with some questions, one of our other members on the council who does all of our research, and we are so grateful for her, Sydney Yaffe, sent us this quote when she was doing research for this episode. So I just wanted to start us off with that. I love it, and I feel like it is so perfect for what we're talking about today. So the quote says, "If you quit during your winter, you will never see the hope of spring, the beauty of summer, or the fulfillment of autumn. Each of these seasons has a role they play in our making or becoming, and they are life's phases that cannot be sidelined. They come not because we want or wished for them, but because it's the next road that we must pass through to our destination."
What does the phrase seasons of life mean to you personally? How would you define a life transition in your own words?
So when I think of seasons, just like seasons of the year, I just think of different phases, and they bring different weather and different moods and pros and cons for each. Like, I'm a big summer girl, but with summer comes like sunburns and mosquitoes, and that's obnoxious.
Yeah.
So like there's going to be pros and cons to each season of the year. Just like I feel like there will be pros and cons in each season of your life too. And so when I think of the question of like what is a season of life, I think it's just kind of like what chapter you're in at the moment. Like what's going on in your life, what's happening. And sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's harder to like recognize that chapter. To anyone who doesn't know, Anna and I are both seniors in college, and so like that's a pretty big noticeable season. Like, you know, you've been a student your whole life, and we're both about to graduate. By the time this episode airs, we'll be graduating. And we'll be like,
That makes me sick to my stomach.
real adults. But that's like a pretty noticeable like season of your life, like being a student, and that's about to close when we graduate. And so a new season is about to come, and we're gonna have to see the pros and cons that come with that in that next chapter.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. Each season can bring pros and cons. And sometimes we're in a season of life that we don't want to leave, and other times we're in a season of life that we can't wait to get out of. And I feel like it always feels that the seasons that we, want to leave so bad drag on for freaking ever. And the ones that we don't want to leave seem to go by too short. But in my short 22 years, I feel like I have been through a lot of different seasons, especially in the time of like my teenage years through college. And even those hard parts and those, challenging seasons and those times where I was going through a lot of change and had to do a lot of self-reflection, I feel like have served me so well. And I just want to continue to carry that with me, as I encounter more seasons of life, because I have, a lifetime left of experiences to live, as do all of you.
In reference to the quote we mentioned earlier, what does winter, spring, summer, and autumn of life look like to you?
So I feel like for me personally, I as do most people, I think, have a good idea of what winter is. Yeah. Winter is sadness, depression, darkness, despair. It's all of your hardest moments and hardest seasons of life that you think of. But for me, kind of thinking about what the other ones meant was a little more difficult, because I feel like they, like spring and summer flow into each other a little bit more. But okay, for me, spring, I feel like is, new exciting changes coming. And I'm just kind of thinking about it in terms of my life. Like, I just got a really exciting job, and right now I'm in spring. I'm waiting for that job. I'm so excited. I have all of these things, but the reality of that hasn't set in yet, that change is going to be an adjustment, and that change is going to be hard, and it's exciting and it's great. But, again, change can be an adjustment. And I'm a person, I feel like, that really struggles with change. Even if it's a change that, I'm a routine girl through and through. And I may be excited about certain changes, but it doesn't mean that it's not going to be difficult to me. Summer, I feel like will be quite literally for me this summer.
Yeah.
It's starting my new job. It's still exciting. It's still fun. But I loved what you said earlier when you were talking about summer has, mosquitoes and it's obnoxious and it's chaotic. And, after we change into that summer season of life, we're dealing with all of these crazy changes and adjusting that. And that's becoming our new normal, and changing our normal and changing, what is our everyday life that we were used to can be overwhelming and chaotic. And I think it's autumn, fall. I don't know. I call it fall. I'm going to go with fall.
Yeah.
I feel like that time for me is, settling into change. That change has become your new normal and you're able to enjoy that. When I think of autumn, I think of, coziness,
Crunchy leaves.
yes, crunchy leaves, comfort, like a pumpkin spice candle. Just like where I feel like I'm comfortable, I'm cozy, and I'm content.
Yeah.
Would be a good way to put it.
No, I feel like I really don't have much to add. Like, I don't want to yap too much and add and stuff, but
That's right. That was kind of like
no, that was just a great answer. I just feel the only thing I would add is that I feel like fall is all like I'm always really looking forward to fall.
Me too.
Yeah, like so excited for the cooler weather. But then sometimes it just hits harder than you thought it would and almost feels like a mini winter. And I feel like that could be like life too.
100%.
Where you're like really excited for maybe it's a new chapter, new job, relationship.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like that's what the autumn of life is.
100%. Yeah. I think it's getting hard too. And whenever you're in your autumn and you're just, continuing and you're content to not feel like stagnant as well. Cause I'm somebody, I'm like, go, go, go all the time. I always have to have something that I'm like working towards and I'm a perfectionist. I want to be the best all the time, but sometimes whenever we're just in one place and doing the same thing, it can almost feel not fulfilling. To me, which is something I'm trying to work out of, I think, as somebody that, especially at the age that we are and in just kind of the expectations of the world, we're expected to constantly just like keep moving and keep moving, keep moving instead of enjoying where we're at. And I feel like as I continue through the rest of my 20s, that's something I want to focus on is enjoying where I'm at and, being proud of myself and proud of my friends and my family of where they're at.
Yeah. I had someone just last week ask me like, so what are you going to do when you graduate? Like, because in school you do like extracurriculars and
right. Yeah. What do you are do?
Girl. Yeah. And I just looked at them and I was like, I'm going to sleep. Like,
right. Exactly. I'm going to let myself sleep.
I'm going to sleep and I'm going to enjoy this new season while sleeping.
Why is the post-grad transition or phase of life so hard for young adults? How do young adults navigate the transition into true adulthood?
I think the transition from post-grad is hard because like we talked about earlier, a lot of people just hate change. Like change can be uncomfortable and scary, like not knowing what's going to happen. And especially if you're in college, that means you've been a student your whole life, like 22 years. You've gone to elementary school, middle school, high school, college. Like that's been your job is to be a student.
Right.
And I was actually thinking about that the other day. I'll do a lot of like paperwork for pageants. And when they ask, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a student. Mm-hmm. And in a week and a half, I'm not going to be a student anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's just kind of a weird thought to have. And so this is kind of a weird question for us because neither of us actually are post-grad.
Right.
But I think it's just a hard transition because you're leaving normal. Mm-hmm. And like for us, we're both in career fields that are probably going to be moving out of state. I know you're moving out of state. As a music theater major, I'll probably be moving out of state. And that in itself is really hard to like leave your family and your friends and the place that you've been. And it just, I don't want to ramble, but it can be very hard to have all that change all at once.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I really like what you said about how with school, you kind of have a sense of like, you always know what's coming next. You always have something that you're like, okay, I know that this is a constant. I know next year I'll be living here and I'll be in this grade.
And a calendar.
Yes, and a calendar up too.
But like,
no, break.
Fall break.
Oh, the thought of not having, and maybe this sounds
break. There's no break from
I know, and that sounds like you just. I so much brat when I say that, but it's I know. But at the same time too, I think this is such an interesting question for us because, like you said, we're both currently in this season of life. Like I graduate in 2 weeks. I'm not sure exactly when I'm assuming it's
we say that half.
Yeah. So this big life change is literally what we're living through right now. So I almost don't have an answer to it, but I know somewhat. And I just have kind of been thinking about, even beyond just this episode and planning for it, you know, it's hard to not think about like what's coming next in my life. And I have no, I think I sit there and think about it and I'm like, I have no clue what my life is going to look like in a year. I have absolutely no idea, which is really scary. And I mean, like, I kind of know about, I know like one thing, you know, but at the same time, there's so many unknowns about that. And I think that that's really intimidating. And for me, even though I'm technically a legal adult, myself in college, I'm like a quarter of,
No, yeah. Oh,
I'm not a real adult, but like, I am not. And there's just so many other things too in like the post-grad world and like the big girl job world that I think about that I'm like, I'm going to sit here and be honest. I have no idea what a 401k is.
Oh,
I don't know.
oh, not a clue.
Right. So it's, I start thinking about things like that and getting into my head and being like, oh my gosh, I am screwed. Like, and I know it'll be fine. Like, I'll take it one day at a time. I'll, you know, talk to my friends who are business majors or call my dad if I need, you know, help understanding what a 401k is.
Yeah.
But it's scary and there's so many unknowns. And I think for a lot of people, especially like myself, that do fear change and feel uncomfortable with change, it's the reason why that we feel uncomfortable with change is that like aspect of the unknown. And although it's exciting, it's also, like I said, it's intimidating and it's like it just feels like, yes, it's like a looming presence that you can do nothing about and that you feel like you have no control over because you really don't. Like, you know,
Like, you have to grow up and graduate.
right? But that's, you don't have. That's it. Like, and I, you know, we were Gosher talking about this, and I'm like, you know, I think it's also sad in a way because you're, like I said, I'm like a quarter of an old, I'm probably not even that much. And yeah, you're mourning the loss of like your childhood. You know, I get like I said, you know, we've been in school for 22 years straight now. And then now my whole world is just flips upside down. And that part of my identity is no longer part of my identity. You know, it's like, it's a closed chapter. It's past.
Yeah.
And then it's not even just for me. Postgrad is not just like closing a chapter. You're closing the book and you're opening up your book.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think the second part of this question was how do you cope with that I just broke down?
Oh, I didn't even
like
that part.
Well, no, because the answer is like I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
We're gonna be learning.
I'll get back to you in 1 year.
We're gonna be learning that right now. But right now we're in that chapter of closing that book.
Right.
Like I know, like literally 2 days ago, I just closed my last college musical ever, and that's something that I've been doing since like second grade. I've been doing shows every year, and then I just finished my last one, and like we had to say goodbye and like sing the goodbye song for the cast, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna do another like fun production again. Like I'm now gonna go into the like professional.
Where like this is my
Yes.
Yeah, this is not just like
Yes.
silly hee fun, and not all that. I take what you're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly how I would word it too.
Yeah, but even
Like training. It's shows
Right.
to train you.
Exactly.
And now the training is over and like it's time to go.
yeah, I mean, even for me, I think about like, okay, I've been in nursing school and I've been, you know, I've had a nurse like over me the whole time. Like I've had somebody to double check my work.
Now you're now real life.
Right. Like now I have a real human being and not just a human. I have a child to, I don't like to think about it too much. And I know I'll be fine. I'm competent and you will be fine. You're competent, but it's intimidating. Yeah.
It is. I think that's the only feedback I have.
Yeah.
To end this question.
I know it's kind of a narrow bit answer, but I don't
unknown.
I don't have much else to say because I don't know.
Yeah. You gotta lean on your friends, lean on your therapist.
Yes.
And that's really all I have.
Yeah.
The loss of a family member, friend, or loved one can be a really challenging change in one's life. What are some healthy ways to process intense emotions after suffering a loss, and how can we best support someone else when they are dealing with the loss of a friend or a family member?
So for me personally, I haven't lost someone as close to me as like a friend or a sibling or a parent. I mean, like I've lost a grandparent, but I think it's much different than a sudden loss or somebody that's you see every single day. So I feel like I can't exactly speak on a personal experience with that. But I have dealt with the side of a friend having a big loss and figuring out and navigating how to support them with that. My very best friend in the whole world lost her dad her senior year of high school and came into college, which is already a big change in and of itself, but then came into college 6 months after her dad passed away, which I think for me was an eye-opening experience to see, and kind of an interesting experience of friendship too at the same time, because it caused us to get close really, really quick. And I was having to navigate the idea of how to support somebody's situation that I didn't fully understand and that I knew until regardless, even now, if I had somebody that close pass away, it's not the same as losing somebody in high school, that young, I think. But I think, that's kind of the gist of it all, is that recognizing that you don't understand, and that everybody's experience with grief and experience with loss is different, and that there's no one correct way to grieve, and giving people grace with that. I think a huge thing in supporting people anytime, whether they're grieving the loss of, a family member, a friend, a loved one, or even, grieving something within their self. For me, I've had the, experience of my own mental health and coming back from, suicide attempts and having to grieve that loss of my former self. And I kind of used that in a way, I feel to support my friend in taking my experience of, okay, somebody who hasn't been through this is never going to understand what that's like, and the change that it instills in you, in the same way that I'm never going to fully understand her experience, and that's okay. You meet people where they're at, you ask questions without prying too much. You don't have to say, oh, I want you to tell me about the exact everything you're feeling, but instead asking them, okay, how can I best be a support to you? What do you need right now? Because they're constantly, I'm sure, hearing people say, oh, I'm sorry, over and over again. I'm sorry. But that's not going to bring the person back, and unfortunately life goes on. You have to pick up and move forward. And I think the best thing that you can do as a friend is support them in moving forward. And, but at the same time, being there for them and allowing that space to be sad or angry or, exhausted, or any of the emotions that you may feel in the grief process. And just allowing them to exist, giving them the space to be alone when they need that. But then also being, that person that's there, whether it's a shoulder to cry on or somebody to, distract you, or just have a laugh, do something fun, anything that they might need at that time. I think offering yourself to be that person without overburdening yourself with that weight is the best thing that you can do for somebody whenever they're experiencing something that you have never experienced yourself. Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was so well said. I have very little to add on to that, because I think that's exactly what I would recommend also.
Yeah.
The only thing, which we were talking about this right before we started filming, talking about how we wanted to answer the questions, and we both had expressed how neither of us have experienced huge loss yet. And I don't know why I didn't think of this, but I was thinking of it when you were speaking about your friend, and about offering support as a friend. And it just kind of reminded me that in my personal life, I don't have a father figure anymore, and it's not through death, but it's through choice from that figure. And even though that's not grief through death, it's grief of a family member.
Right.
And that's something that for years I've really struggled with. I've really struggled, growing up when kids would have dads with donut events, at school, or growing up knowing that I'm not gonna have someone to walk me down the aisle when I get married, or when other people talk about their dad moving them into their dorm room for the first time. That's not a memory that I am ever gonna get to have. And so in a way, I kind of do sympathize with this question, and about how it's hard seeing these new seasons of life, and seeing I'm about to graduate college, and my parents not going to be there for it. Right. Even though it's not through death or grief, if that makes sense.
I mean, I don't think that isn't grief, though. You can absolutely, like, grieve who a person once was, or not even who a person once was, but, like, the potential of what could have been.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that idea of what could have been and, like, running through all of these scenarios in your head of, you know, things that, you know, they're not going to be there for, or that, you know, you might not get to experience. And again, like, I've never been through the situation that you are, but that's still grief, you know? And I think allowing yourself the space to understand that that's still grief, and you're allowed to grieve a person that's still living, is so important.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that the feedback you gave about still like offering support is absolutely applicable and helpful. And
Yeah.
it always makes me feel better when I have like a friend or another family member step up and make sure that I don't feel that loss. It's just as impactful.
Yeah, 100%.
Just as meaningful.
Which season do you feel like you're currently in and why? What life transitions are you looking forward to?
I feel like for me, I am at quite literally like what season we're in right now. Like, we're in spring heading into summer is exactly where I am. And, you know, kind of reference to, I think it was like the first or second question about what the seasons meant to me. I feel like that's the current season, the exact season of life that I'm in right now. I am finishing up college. I'm about to go through a huge life change. And at this point, I was like slowing down on the train of, oh my gosh, it's so new. It's so exciting. I have so many things to look forward to the like, I can't say a curse word on this podcast. Like, oh bleep, it's here, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like the reality of it is setting in for me, and what is coming, and the fact that it's not all going to be like rainbows and ponies and fun, and that I do now have to like go be a real adult and pay for an ungodly amount of things, and you know, like all of the things that come with being an adult and like having real responsibility.
Yeah.
Are here, because college is, for me, and the way that my mom has described it to me, and it's so true, college is the only, like, the time in your life where you have the most amount of freedom with the least amount of responsibility that you'll ever have, which is so true. And it's very sad to be leaving that stage, but at the same time, it's exciting, you know? So I'm trying to keep myself in the mode of like, okay, like, it will be exciting, and like, even though I'm sad to be leaving this time, like, it's not, this time of my life is 4 years of whole lifetime to blip, you know, to be honest. As for what life transition I'm looking forward to, I am so excited because whenever I graduate college and I move, I'm living with my sister, and we wanted to live together for like as long as I can remember. The last time we actually lived together in like the same home was whenever we were both in high school. So it's been a long, long time, but we've been super, super excited about the possibility of living together. And yeah, I would say that that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm excited for my job, but I think living with my sister, we're very, very close, will be super special.
So that's really cool. I love that. My answer is very similar, except I feel like I'm like a mix of spring and autumn right now, which isn't actually real. That doesn't exist, but I'm just gonna make it exist.
It can exist in
Yeah,
world.
it's gonna exist for us right here. Because it's like you said, like there's spring and there's all these new jobs, new apartments, graduation. Like that's so exciting.
Right.
And I think you're right. Like this is about to be summer. We're about to go into this new.
The celebrations are gonna slow down.
Yeah. But I also feel this slight like autumn where like there are these leaves like falling and dying, and like chapters that I loved and like friends who I loved who are staying here in Oklahoma in college, and seeing those chapters have to close almost feels more like fall to me than spring. So I'm kind of a mixture, which isn't real, but it's gonna be real. And then the season I'm most looking forward to, I'm really looking forward to the possibility of booking a professional performing contract.
Yeah.
Because that's something I've just dreamt of for so many years,
Right.
and then like studied in school for so many years.
That's like your life dream. You know?
Yeah, and
Coming true.
That's kind of what summer is. It's like entangled when it's like now it's time for your new dream. Like that's what this is. Like we're closing this goal of college and like it's now time to make that new dream.
Right.
And get to watch it happen.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited to watch what that looks like and where it may take me.
Yeah. It's bittersweet for sure.
Oh, it is. It is. It's been a hard week. A lot of like, I don't know about my finals are this week. So like today I had one of my last classes ever with these people.
Yeah, it's so many mixed emotions because it's like it's sad, but it's also exciting, but then it's also sad. I just feel like I'm all over the map in how I feel about it.
And I feel like that's exactly why we did this episode because
I know, honestly, this has been such a therapeutic episode.
this has, we needed to debrief this because there's a lot going on up there. But I think the consensus is that it's okay to be overwhelmed.
Right, yeah.
About those new chapters and about the old ones closing. But that there's still so much to look forward to and so much still to be written.
100%. Thank you so much for joining us this month. A couple of housekeeping things before we wrap up. Next month's episode is going to be our 1-year anniversary episode of the Mindful Moments podcast. This whole year for me has absolutely flown by, and I am
Crazy.
so grateful for NAMI and for all of my beautiful friends that I've made on NAMI. And one of our beautiful friends and members, Haley, has a really exciting event coming up June 6th with her own dance company, Mysterious Minds. She will be putting on a performance, and each of the dances that she's choreographed and that she's in charge of all revolve around mental health and mental illness and bringing awareness to that. It will be June 6th at North Classen High School, and NAMI will have a table set up. There'll be lots of other resources and fun things to go to, good people to meet, and it's just all around going to be, I think, a great experience. And I think we're really excited for it and super proud of her.
Yes, you do not want to miss it. Mark your calendars. I feel like by the time this episode comes out, it'll probably be next week for y'all. So go mark your calendar ASAP. And that's really the only news kind of housekeeping we had because it's the summer season now and there's time for us to rest and recoup. And so I think to wrap up this episode, we always like to do words of wisdom, and I was put in charge of this like 5 minutes ago. And so the words of wisdom I've cooked up for this episode is that your life is literally like a chapter book, and every season of life represents like a different chapter and different characters and a different plot line happening, or I guess the same plot line, but different events happening. And it is such a gift that you are the author of that story and that you have the power to pick up that pen and make each chapter what you want it to be.
That's that.
My words is if you're scared like we are about the next season, pick up that pen and start writing a chapter that you're really passionate about and that makes you excited to wake up each day.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, well, thank you. See you guys next month. Bye.